Hi everyone, my name is Sachin Hissaria, and in this video we will be discussing about SOC. Okay, so we will be discussing about what is SOC, the type of SOCs, type of SOC report, and some key terms used in the SOC. And I will also show you the SOC report template as well. So without wasting a much time, let's start the video. Okay, so our first topic is what is SOC. Okay. So SOC, the full form of SOC is System and Organization Control. And earlier it was known as a Service Organization Control, but now it is known as a System and Organization Control. Now let me give you one example why the SOC is required. Okay. So for example, there is one company which is SHN company, Sachin Hissaria and company. Now, what this company will do? This company provides the services of data center hosting. Okay, so SHN company provides the service related to data center hosting. Now, SHN company have a many clients. Like for example, they have a 100+ client who host their data on the SHN company data center. Okay. Now, one of the client is TCS. Now, TCS also host their data center on SHN company. Now, what will happen? Suppose TCS is doing their IT audit. Now, their IT auditor may require that uh, uh, whatever controls implemented by Sachin Hissaria and company are working properly or not. So what they will do, they will say that I want to audit your company. Okay. Uh, TCS company's auditor will go to SHN company and they will ask to perform the audit. Now, likewise, there are many clients. So it is not feasible for SHN company to accommodate all the auditor. Okay, like because TCS is only one of the clients. Likewise, there are many other clients who are utilizing the services of SHN company, and their auditor also want an assurance that SHN company has put in place proper control to protect the data of their client. So in this case, what SHN company will do, they will appoint an independent auditor. Okay. So they themselves will appoint an independent auditor. That auditor will verify the controls and give the report. Okay. So that report is known as a SOC report. Okay. So this is the scenario where SOC comes into the picture. Now let's see the same with the technical terms. So there is a service organization. So what service organization will do? Service organization will demonstrate the design and operating effectiveness of internal control to existing customer. Okay. So service organization will obtain an independent assessment of internal control framework. So service organization will appoint a service auditor, and this service auditor will give the SOC report. Okay. Now, there is a user entity. Who is a user entity? User entity are the end customer. Okay. So the SOC report provides an assurance of consistent performance of control, and it provides an assurance of control relating to security, confidentiality, availability, privacy, and processing integrity. Okay. Now, all these five are a service trust criteria. Okay. So, trust service criteria. So this we will be discussing after some concept. Okay. So as of now, just understand, guys. Okay. So this is the use of SOC report. Service organization will appoint an independent auditor, and that independent auditor will examine the controls, and then they will give a SOC report. This SOC report will be used by a user entity. Now, in this case, who is the service organization? So service organization is a SHN company. Okay. So SHN company is a service organization, and who is a user entity? TCS, who is using the services of SHN company. They are a user entity. Okay. So they will exchange a SOC report, and this is the scenario where SOC comes into the picture. Now, who is a regulator of this SOC entire system and organization control audit? AICPA, which is American Institute of Certified Public Accountant. They are the regulator. So this audit is conducted based on SSAE 18 and ISAE 3402. Okay. So yeah, this is about a SOC. Okay. Now we will be discussing the different type of SOC. Okay. So there is a SOC 1. What is the use of SOC 1? So SOC 1 report is used for internal control for financial statement and reporting. Okay, so SOC 1 report is related to a control for financial statement and reporting. Okay, so this report will suppose if any organization who is providing a services which can impact the client's financial statement, then they conduct a SOC 1 audit. Okay, now SOC 2 audit. So SOC 2 audit is for internal control for security, confidentiality, availability, privacy, and processing integrity. So all these are again a trust service criteria. So the SOC 2 report is conducted basis on a trust service criteria. Okay, so this is a SOC 2 report where you verify the internal control for security, confidentiality, availability, privacy, and processing integrity. Okay. Now SOC 3. What is SOC 3? SOC 3 report is a tailored version of SOC 2 report. So this SOC 3 report are publicly available. You can go on the Google, you can search for any SOC 3 report. It's a publicly available. Okay. And SOC 3, SOC 3 is not a report. This is a certification. This SOC 2 and SOC 1 and SOC 2 are the report, and SOC 3 is a certification. And this SOC 1 and SOC 2 report are confidential, and it is shared only when you have signed the non-disclosure agreement with the company. And SOC 3 reports are publicly available. Like for example, suppose if you want to see the SOC 3 report of Amazon, so you just type on a Google, okay, and yeah, so you can read this SOC 3 report. It's a publicly available document. You can check for any company. Okay, so this is SOC 3. Okay, now there is one more report which is called SOC 2 plus. Okay, so this report is also very similar to SOC 2. The only difference is in SOC 2 there are trust service criteria, but apart from trust service criteria, we will also map the control with specific compliance and the regulatory framework like ISO, PCI-DS, NIST and all. So this is called a SOC 2 plus report. Okay, when you map the control with trust service criteria as well as some other compliance and regulatory framework. Okay, so when we will be discussing the SOC report template, that at that time I will give you a more clarity on this. Okay, as of now you might not be understanding what is this service trust criteria or trust service criteria. Okay, so this we will be discussing very much in detail in our upcoming slides. Okay, so as of now you can understand that SOC 2 report is basically used when some organization store, process, or transmit any kind of customer data. Okay, so for that SOC 2 report is used. Okay, now in SOC 2 in SOC there are different type of SOC report. So basically there are type 1 report and there is a type 2 report. What is type 1 report? So type 1 report is a point in time report. Okay, it is a as on date report. Okay, for example, suppose if you are conducting audit as on 31st December 2021. So this report will give you an assurance as on that date only. Okay, it is a type 1 report. And in this report, we only check the design of control. Okay, so basically there are two things. One is a test of design and another is a test of effectiveness. So basically in SOC 1 report, we only check the test of design. Okay, we don't check the test of effectiveness of control. I will give you one example of this. For example, suppose you are verifying a change management process of the company. Now, to verify this change management process, first you will obtain the policy procedure of the company. In policy procedure, you will check whether controls are mentioned or not. So whatever activity that you are doing currently, it is called as a test of design, where you are verifying whether controls are appropriately put in place or not. It is a test of design. Now, TOE is what? When you will actually check whatever is mentioned in the policy procedures are actually implemented or not. So that you will verify in test of effectiveness. Okay. So in type 1 report, we only check the design. Okay, not the operating effectiveness. Whereas the type 2 report uh, type 2 report are conducted for one period. For example, suppose if you have conducted audit from 1st January, 1st January to 31st December. So this is a period report. This is what? This is a period report. It is not a as on date report. So in SOC type 2 report are a period report. And in this report, you will check the design, you will check the implementation and operative effectiveness as well. So that is why SOC 2 report are more comprehensive and it requires more effort. Okay. So yeah, this is a type 1. This is the difference between type 1 and type 2 report. Okay. Now, SOC 1 and SOC 2 can be type 1 or type 2. Okay. So in like previous slide, we have discussed about SOC 1 and SOC 2. So SOC 1 can be SOC 1 type 1 and SOC 1 can also be SOC 1 type 2. Similarly, SOC 2 type 1 and SOC 2 type 2. Okay, but SOC 3 is always type 2 report. Okay, so SOC 3 is always type 2. SOC 3 cannot be type 1. Okay, so this is about a type of report. Okay, now next slide. Now we will be discussing some of the key terms which is used in the SOC report. First term is CUEC. What is the full form of CUEC? It is a complementary user entity control. Okay. So guys, whenever you will refer any SOC report, in SOC report, you will find one section of CUEC. So this CUEC section will highlight the control which needs to be presented at a user organization in order for them to properly use for the services. Now, let's go back to our example. Like for example, in our case, assistant company is providing some services to TCS. So who is the service entity? Assistant company is a service organization and TCS is what? TCS is a user organization. Now, in order to provide services, there are some controls which needs to be implemented at TCS level. Okay. Okay. There are some controls which TCS needs to implement in their organization. So that control is known as a CUEC. Okay. So basically in SOC report, auditor will highlight those control which needs to be implemented by a user entity. Okay. Okay. So auditor will mention the list of control. I can give you an example of this as well. For example, suppose if you have outsourced your change management process to some third party. Okay. Now that third party is your service organization. Now in the change management process, suppose approval part is with the user entity. Okay. And then the UAT is also conducted by user organization. So all these are example of CUEC. Okay, complementary user entity control. So in SOC report, there is a separate section where auditor will highlight what are the control which is owned by a user entity. Okay. Now there is another terminology which is a CSOC, sub-service organization monitoring and complementary organization control. Now, for this, first we need to understand what is sub-service organization. So let's go back to our example again. For example, in order to provide services, suppose SHN company is also using some vendor services. Okay. In order to provide the services, suppose SHN company is also taking the services from the vendor. So that vendor is known as a sub-service organization. Okay. So in SOC report, you will mention what are the sub-service organization. Okay, what are the controls which is handled by a sub-service organization? Let's read the same. Organization may work with the third parties to maintain their environment and provide their product or services to customer. The third party is considered as a sub-service organization. Okay. So you could also think sub-service organization as an entity that service organization outsource some of their operations. For example, suppose I am providing a services related to data center hosting. Now, to provide the services of data center hosting, suppose I have outsourced my physical and environmental control to some vendor. They will look after those control. So those vendor are my sub-service organization. Okay. So basically in SOC report, we need to mention what are the controls which is handled by a sub-service organization. And in your SOC report, there are two ways of reporting the controls related to sub-service organization. So one is a carve-in approach and the second is a carve-out approach. So basically in carve-in, what you will do, whatever control activity performed by a sub-service organization, you will also validate the same. So that will be included in your scope of the report. Okay, so you need to validate those control as well. It is called a carve-in approach. In carve-out approach, the control activity performed by a sub-service organizations are excluded from the scope of audit. So we will not perform testing on the same. So that is carve-out approach. So when you will see the SOC report, in the SOC report, they will clearly mention whether it is a carve-in or whether it is a carve-out. Okay. And this carve-in approach is also known as an inclusive audit method. Okay. So it is called as a CSOC. Okay. Now in the SOC, there is another terminology which is called a bridge letter. Now what is bridge letter? For example, in previous slide, we have discussed SOC is generally covered the period of 6 to 12 months. Okay. Now, sometime what will happen that your SOC report period may not align with the user entity's calendar or fiscal year. Okay. For example, suppose you have conducted a SOC audit for the period of October to September 2021. Okay. And your customer will follow this financial year. Suppose they are following Jan 20 to December 21. Okay. Now, suppose if you provide that SOC report to customer, what customer will say that your report is only covering the 9-month period. It is not covering the last 3 months, which is October to December. So there is a gap. So basically what service organization will do, they will issue one bridge letter. Okay. In bridge letter, they will say that there is no change in the control, and this bridge letter will fill the gap between the date of report versus the customer's fiscal year end. Okay. So I will show you the template of this bridge letter. Okay. Let me open the bridge letter template for you. So this is a bridge letter. This is given on the company's letterhead. For example, SHN company is giving this bridge letter to TCS. Okay. So they will print this bridge letter on the letterhead. Okay. So you can see they will mention that our audit period was this. Okay. And as on this date also, SHN company is not aware about any material changes in our relevant control environment as described in the SOC 2 report. So basically they are saying whatever audit is conducted in this period is also valid till this date. Okay, so this bridge letter is issued for this purpose. Now, whatever was the gap, for this gap, they can take this bridge letter into the consideration. Okay, so this is a bridge letter. Now, to summarize all the SOC, I would say that control validation at service organization level is not enough. Okay, for example, in our case, if you validate the control at service organization, which is SHN company, so this control validation is not enough. To give the complete assurance, you need to validate the control from which is done by sub-service organization, and you need to also validate the control which is handled by a user entity. So once you validate all this control, then only you can say that yes, this particular area is providing a complete assurance. Okay, so basically in SOC report, you will find all these things. Okay. So yeah, that is all about SOC. Now, SOC report template. So basically SOC report is divided in a 4 section. Whenever you will see any SOC report, you will find this 4 sections. So section 1 will talk about independent service auditor report. Section 2 will talk about management assertions provided by service organization. Section 3 will talk about the system descriptions, and Section 4 will talk about the information provided by service auditor. This is very important. Okay, this is very important. Now, in next video, what I will be doing, I will be sharing you this SOC report template in the same manner that I have shown you the bridge letter. Okay, so we will be discussing about each section. We will be discussing what is included in the section, each section. Okay, and also one more important concept, which is a trust service criteria. Okay, like for example, here you have seen some trust service criteria. There are 5 trust service criteria: security, confidentiality, availability, privacy, and processing integrity. This is very important in SOC. So we will be discussing how this trust service criteria is verified in the SOC report. Okay, so all these things we will be discussing in our upcoming video. For this video, that is all. Okay, so if you require any clarification regarding this video, please let me know in the comment section. Okay, and if you like the video, please share with your other friend as well. So that is all for today's video, guys. We'll see you in the next video. Till then, bye bye and take care.